Hello everyone and welcome to this video channel Science Class 8. Today we are going to learn chapter number 10, Reaching the Age of Adolescence. In the previous video class we had been studied this chapter number 10, the beginning portion of this chapter number 10. Today also we are going to learn as the continuation of this chapter number 10, Reaching the Age of Adolescence. Today, let's start from textbook page number 104 to 142. So, this chapter number 10, Reaching the Age of Adolescence, in the previous video class, we had been studied about the adolescence period. So, in the case of the girls, adolescence period starts from the 12 years, whereas in the case of the boys, it is somewhat later, say 13 or 14 years from this adolescence period starts. So many changes we can see from both boys and girls during the adolescence period. And in the previous class also, we had been studied about the hormones associated during the adolescence period. As we know, hormones are the chemical messengers and they are directly carried through the blood circulation and reach to the target site. So some of the hormones, they start their function during the adolescence period. So today let's start from this textbook page number 124, role of hormones in initiating reproductive function. So adolescence period is one of the most important stages for the human, and it shows the sign of reaching the adulthood stage. So the maturity of the man starts from the adolescence period. So many changes we can see from this stage. So in the previous video class we have studied about that. So today let's start from role of hormones in initiating reproductive function. So what are hormones? As I already told you, hormones are the chemical messengers and they are directly carried by the blood circulation and it reaches to the target site. So now let's see. Endocrine glands release hormones into the bloodstream to reach a particular body part that is called target site. So in the human body, endocrine glands, they release hormones. So many endocrine glands are there, say for example pituitary gland, then thyroid, thymus, then adrenal gland, then pancreas, then testis in the case of the male and ovary in the case of the female, like this. So many endocrine glands are there. So they release hormones into the bloodstream and it is carried to the particular body and reach target site. So the target site responds to the hormone, and there are many endocrine glands or ductless glands in the body. So endocrine glands are also known as ductless glands. So the hormones secreted by the endocrine glands, they are directly carried to the bloodstream. So they are also known as ductless glands. But some of the glands, like say sebaceous gland and say salivary gland, etc., they are having duct. Their secretions are produced through the tube or ducts. So they are known as duct gland. But endocrine glands, they are also known as ductless glands. So here, the testes and ovaries secrete sex hormones. So you have just learned that these hormones are responsible for the male and female secondary sexual characters. So testes, testes present in the males, they secrete hormones that is known as testosterone. And whereas the Ovaries also secrete hormone. They are known as estrogen. So estrogen and testes are produced during the adolescence period, and these hormones are responsible for the secondary sexual characters. They have to appear in during the adolescence period. And further, the sex hormones are under the control of hormones from the pituitary gland. So all the hormones, all the endocrine glands, they secrete hormones. So these hormones are overall controlled by the pituitary gland. So it is shown in figure number 10.3. Let's see. The pituitary secretes many hormones, one of which makes ova mature in the ovaries and sperms form in the testes. So, pituitary secretes many hormones, and one of which makes ova mature in the ovaries and sperms form in the testes. So here, hormones from pituitary stimulate testes and ovaries to release testosterone in male and estrogen in female. So, hormones from pituitary, they stimulate testes and ovaries to release testosterone in male and estrogen in female. So, production of the testosterone and estrogen hormones is responsible by the pituitary gland. So, pituitary gland is also known as the master gland of the endocrine system. Then, the hormone produced by the ovaries and testes is released in the bloodstream and reaches parts of the body that is known as target site, and then stimulate changes in the body at onset of puberty. At the onset of puberty, so many changes we can see. So figure number 10.3, the onset of puberty is controlled by hormone. So hormone function is quite important during the puberty stage, what we also known as adolescence. So Pahele and Buzo have now understood that puberty marks the beginning of the reproductive period, when one becomes capable of reproduction. But they want to know if reproductive life, once begun, continues or it ends sometime. Yes, it is quite correct. During the puberty stage, during the adulthood, during the adolescence period, yes, beginning of the maturity of the reproductive period starts, and capable of reproduction, but it will produce like that. It will goes in that way, and after some period of time, then it may stop. Particularly in the females, there is some stage. So let's study in the next as a continuation in the next topic. So let's see. Reproductive phase of life in humans. Reproductive phase of life in humans, let's see. Adolescents become capable of reproduction when their testes and ovaries begin to produce gametes. The capacity for maturation and production of gametes lasts for a much longer time in males than in females. So, during the adolescence period, capable of reproduction when their testes and ovaries begin to produce and gametes. So, male gametes and female gametes start produced during the adolescence period. In females, the reproductive phase of life begins at puberty, 10 to 12 years of age. This is the beginning of puberty, and generally lasts till the age of approximately 45 to 50 years. And the ova begin to mature with the onset of puberty. So the ova begin to mature with the onset of puberty. So one ovum matures and is released by one of the ovaries once in about 28 to 30 days. So this is the period. Within this 28 to 30 days, one ovum matures and is released by one of the ovaries. So during this period, the wall of the uterus becomes thick so as to receive the egg. In case it is fertilized and begins to develop, and this results in pregnancy. If fertilization does not occur, the released egg and the thickened lining of the uterus along with its blood vessels are shut off. Then this causes bleeding in women, and which is called menstruation. So here we meet a term that is called menstruation. Menstruation, it is the beginning of the reproductive stage. So during this time, so menstruation occurs once in about 28 to 30 days, and the first menstruation flow begins at puberty. So the first menstruation, and it marks the onset of maturity of reproductive stage. So the first menstruation flow begins at puberty and is termed menarche. So at 45 to 50 years of age, 45 to 50 years of age, the menstrual cycle stops. So in the women, 45 to 50 years, when the woman becomes 45 to 50 years of age, the menstrual cycle stops. And stoppage of menstruation is termed menopause. So after, during this stage, that means in the menopause stage, the chance of having baby in the women is no chance during this stage. So initially menstruation cycle may be irregular, and it takes some time to become regular. So menstrual cycle, when it starts, it may become irregular, and after some time it become regular. Pahelia says that the reproductive life of a woman lasts from menarche to menopause. Is she right? Here Pahelia says that reproductive life of a woman lasts from menarche to menopause. Yes, it is true. From menarche to menopause. That means from 12 years to 45 or 50 years. That is the period of women. They can reproduce young babies. Next, let's continue. Menstrual cycle is controlled by hormones. Menstrual cycle is controlled by hormones. The cycle includes the maturation of the egg, its release, thickening of uterine wall, and its breakdown if pregnancy does not occur. In case the egg is fertilized, it begins to divide and then gets embedded in the uterus for further development, as you have learned in chapter number 9. So in chapter number 9, we have learned about this thing. Next, how is the sex of the baby determined? Here we will study about the determination of sex. Determination of the sex of the baby, how it is determined. Now let's study. I heard my mother and my aunt talking about my cousin who is going to have a baby. They were discussing whether she would give birth to a boy or a girl. I wonder, what makes the fertilized egg develop either into a boy or a girl? So, a fertilized egg will produce either a boy or a girl. Then how the boy or girl, say a male baby or a female baby, how it is determined? So now let's see. Boy or girl. Inside the fertilized egg or zygote is the instruction for determining the sex of the baby. This instruction is present in the thread-like structures called chromosomes in the fertilized egg. So the sex of the young baby is determined inside the fertilized egg, that is called zygote. And instruction for determining the sex of the young baby is present in a thread-like structure that is called chromosome, present in the fertilized egg. And we can recall from chapter number I that chromosomes are present inside the nucleus of every cell. So chromosomes are present inside the nucleus of every cell. All human beings have 23 pairs of chromosomes in the nuclei of their cells. 2 chromosomes out of these are the sex chromosomes. Out of the 23 pairs of chromosomes, 2 chromosomes out of these 23 are the sex chromosomes, and they are named as X and Y. X and Y. A female has 2 X chromosomes. So in the female, the sex determining chromosome has 2 X chromosomes, while a male has 1 X and 1 Y chromosome. So the gametes, that is the egg and sperm, have only one set of chromosomes. So that is the gametes, egg and sperm. They are called gametes. So male gamete means sperm cell and female gamete means egg cell. Have only one set of chromosomes. The fertilized egg always has 1 X chromosome. 1 X chromosome. So the fertilized egg has always 1 X chromosome. But sperms are of 2 kinds. Sperms are of 2 kinds. One kind has an X chromosome and the other kind has a Y chromosome. So see figure number 10.4. When a sperm containing X chromosome fertilizes the egg, the zygote would have 2 X chromosomes and they develop into a female child. And if the sperm contributes a Y chromosome to the egg, that is ovum, at the fertilization, the zygote would develop into a male child, that is boy. So here in the sperms, say X and Y chromosomes are there. If say the egg cells, all 2 X chromosomes are produced here. So the sperm carrying Y chromosome fertilize with the egg. Then it will produce baby boy. And sperms carrying X chromosome. Then the egg produced from the mother is only X chromosome. Then it will produce baby girl. That means the XX chromosome. So this is how the sex of the young baby is determined. Figure number 10.4, sex determination in humans is shown here like this. Now let's continue. Now you know that the sex chromosomes of the father determine the sex of an unborn baby. So the sex of the unborn baby is determined by the chromosomes from the father. So the belief that the mother is responsible for the sex of her baby is completely wrong, and to blame her for this is totally unjustified. So in our society, most of the people, their belief is a mythological belief that the sex of the young baby is determined by the mother. So it is wrong. So the sex of the young baby is determined by the sperm cells present in the father. That means male. Here, hormones other than sex hormones. Let's see. Hormones other than sex hormones. Let's see. Look at figure 10.3. Again, the hormones secreted by the pituitary stimulate testis. So the hormones secreted by the pituitary stimulate testis and ovaries to produce their hormones. You have already learned that the pituitary gland is an endocrine gland. So pituitary gland is an endocrine gland and it is attached to the brain. So pituitary gland is attached to the brain. Apart from the pituitary, the testes and the ovaries, there are other endocrine glands in the body such as thyroid, pancreas, and adrenals. These are also endocrine glands. So in our body, in which parts of the body these endocrine glands are located, it is shown in this picture. Pituitary gland it is attached to the brain. Thyroid gland, it is present in the neck region. Adrenal gland just above the kidney, and pancreas in our small intestinal part. And position of the ovary in the female, it is shown here, and testis is present inside the scrotum. So position of endocrine glands in the human body is shown here. Next, let's continue. Buzo and Pehle had once visited their aunt, who was a doctor, and remembered that a boy named Kaka had a very big and bulging throat. Their aunt had told them that Kaka was suffering from goiter, a disease of the thyroid gland. Kaka's thyroid gland was not producing the hormone that is thyroxine. So here, thyroid gland is also one of the important endocrine glands. It produces a hormone that is called thyroxine. So in the neck region, it is so bulging out, then it shows that the thyroid gland do not produce thyroxine hormone. And next, let's continue. And their aunt also told them that their uncle was suffering from diabetes. So their uncle is suffering from diabetes. So diabetes is correlated with the problem of the thyroid gland. And because his pancreas was not producing the hormone that is called insulin. That means insulin hormone is produced by the pancreas in sufficient quantities. So if there is less secretion of insulin by the pancreas, then there is a high chance of suffering from the diabetes. So Buzo and Pehle then asked their aunt about the adrenal glands, which are also shown in the chart hung on the wall of her clinic. The aunt told them that adrenal glands secrete hormones which maintain the correct salt balance in the blood. Adrenals also produce the hormone adrenaline. So adrenaline hormone is produced by the adrenal gland, and it helps the body to adjust to a stress when one is very angry, embarrassed, or worried. So this hormone is also known as, that means the adrenaline hormone is known as to control our stress. So thyroid and adrenals secrete their hormones when they receive orders from the pituitary through its hormone. So thyroid and adrenal secrete their hormone. So their hormone secretion is only when the order received from the pituitary and through its hormone. And pituitary also secretes growth hormone. Pituitary gland also secretes growth hormone, and which is necessary for the normal growth of a person. Are there hormones in other animals also? Have they any role to play in reproduction? Yes, there are other hormones in other animals also. They play many roles. Role of hormones in completing the life history of insects and frogs. Here let's see. You have already learned about the life history of the silk moth and the frog. The caterpillar has to pass through various stages to become an adult moth. So in this case also hormones have a big role. And recall from class 7 the stages of the life history of the silk moth. Similarly, the tadpole passes through certain stages to become a frog. So in chapter number 9 we studied, and this change from larva to adult is called metamorphosis. In figure number 9.10 we have metamorphosis in insects is controlled by insect hormones. So in a frog, it is controlled by thyroxine, the hormone produced by thyroid. Thyroxine production requires the presence of iodine in water. If the water in which the tadpoles are growing does not contain sufficient iodine, the tadpoles cannot become adults. And here, if people do not have enough iodine in their diet, will they get goiter caused by lack of thyroxine? Yes, this is quite true. If people do not have enough iodine in their diet, then they will get goiter caused by lack of thyroxine. Yes, it is. Activity 10.3, collect information from magazines or from doctors and prepare a note on the importance of consuming iodized salt. You can also look for this information on the internet. So, reproductive health. What is reproductive health? Let's see. The physical and mental well-being of an individual is regarded as an individual's health. Physical and mental well-being. So we can define health as a complete physical and mental well-being. To keep the body healthy, every human being at any age needs to have a balanced diet. The person must also observe personal hygiene and undertake adequate physical exercise. So personal hygiene is also very important, and adequate exercise is also important to keep our body healthy. And during adolescence, however, these become even more essential as the body is growing. So during the adolescence period also, these activities are quite important. Next, let's continue. Nutritional needs of the adolescence. Adolescence is a stage of rapid growth and development. Hence, the diet for an next page, let's continue. Hence, the diet for an adolescent has to be carefully planned. You have already learned that what a balanced diet is. Recall that a balanced diet means that the meals include proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and vitamins in requisite proportion. Our Indian meal of roti or rice, dal or pulses, and vegetables is a balanced meal. Milk is a balanced food in itself. Fruits also provide nourishment. For instance, for infants, mother's milk provides all the nourishment that they need. So here we learn about the balanced diet. Balanced diet is a diet which is composed of essential nutrients like vitamins, fats, proteins, and minerals. So it is necessary during the adolescence period as well as in the adulthood stage also, in order to become our body healthy. Iron builds blood and iron-rich food such as leafy vegetables, jaggery, meat, citrus, Indian gooseberry, that is also known as amla, are good for adolescents. So these are the good food for adolescents. And check items for lunch and dinner in your meal. Is the meal balanced and nutritious? Does it include cereals which give energy and milk, meat, nuts, and pulses which provide proteins for growth? Also, does it include fats and sugar that give energy? What about fruits and vegetables which are protective foods? So, fruits and vegetables are also known as the protective foods. So, we need to consume it. They protect our body. And chips and packed or tin snacks, though very tasty, should never replace regular meals as they do not have adequate nutritional value. So when we eat chips and packed or tin snacks, then we may be very tasty, but it it don't have adequate nutritional value. So we should avoid it, and we are better to consume balanced diet as well as fruits and vegetables because they contain citric acid as well as minerals also. Activity 10.4, let's see. Make a group with your friends. Write down the items of food in your breakfast, lunch, and dinner you had on the previous day. Identify the items responsible for proper growth. Also identify the junk food that you consumed the previous day. So you have to make a group of your friends and you try to identify the items of food in your breakfast. So you have to do this activity. And next activity, activity 10.5, let's see. Get ideas from the pictures given in figure 10.6. Prepare charts or posters and paste them in the class so that you are aware of the diet for adolescents. You may use your creative ideas and present it like an advertisement. And you may even organize a composition on this topic. So here, meat is given here, and vegetables are also shown here. Then milk and egg here, fruits and grains. They are all nutritious items of food. Now let's continue. Personal hygiene. Everyone should have a bath at least once every day. It is more necessary for teenagers because the increased activity of sweat glands sometimes makes the body smelly. All parts of the body should be washed and cleaned every day. So this is what about the personal hygiene. So every day we have to wash our body at least once, and during this time our body is necessary for teenagers because increased activity of the sweat glands and sometimes make the body smell. So all parts of the body should be washed and cleaned every day. And if cleanliness is not maintained, there are chances of catching bacterial infection. In girls should take special care of cleanliness during the time of menstrual flow. They should keep track of their menstrual cycle and be prepared for the onset of menstruation. So physical exercise. Physical exercise is also one of the very important. Walking and playing in fresh air keeps the body fit and healthy. All young boys and girls should take walks, exercise, and play outdoor games. Here, myths, taboos, do's, and don'ts. You have learned here and from Chapter 9 the scientific facts related to human reproduction. There are many wrong notions which you should now be able to discard as informed adolescents. For example, there are myths and taboos regarding bodily changes that adolescents experience. So some of these are given below, and you can now earn that why these are myths and not facts. Here let's see. A girl becomes pregnant if she looks at boys during menstruation. This is not fact. And point number 2, the mother is responsible for the sex of her child. This is also not true. And number 3, a girl should not be allowed to work in the kitchen during menstruation. So these all are myths and they are not facts. So you may come across many other myths and taboos and discard them. So we have to discard this thing. Activity 10.6. Collect data on the number of children in your class who exercise regularly and who do not exercise regularly. Did you notice any difference in their fitness and health? Prepare a report on the benefits of regular exercise. So for this we have to collect a data on the number of children in your class who exercise regularly and who do not exercise regularly, and you have to make the difference in their fitness of their body, and you have to make a report. Now, say no to drugs. Let's see. Adolescence is a period of much activity in the body and mind, which is a normal part of growing up. So do not feel confused or insecure. If anybody suggests that you will get relief if you take some drugs, just say no, unless prescribed by the doctor. Drugs are addictive. If you take them once, you feel like taking them again and again. They harm the body in the long run. They ruin health and happiness. So, adolescence is a period of much activity. So during this time, body and mind is which is a normal part of growing up. So we have to not to feel confusion or insecure during this stage. And you must have heard about AIDS, or acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. The full form is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, which is caused by a dangerous virus, that is HIV. This virus can pass on to a normal person from an infected person by sharing the syringe used for injecting drugs. It can also be transmitted to an infant from the infected mother through her milk. The virus can also be transmitted through sexual contact. The virus can also be transmitted through sexual contact with a person infected with HIV. So, AIDS is caused by a virus that is known as HIV virus. So, this virus can pass on to a normal person from an infected person through four routes: by sharing syringe from infected person to another, and from mother to child, and transfusion of blood from the infected person to another. And these are the routes through which HIV can be transmitted. So, and another point is sexual contact. The virus can also be transmitted through sexual contact with a person infected with HIV. So here, adolescent pregnancy. Let's see. You might be knowing that in our country, the legal age for marriage is 18 years for girls. So the legal age for marriage for girls is 18 years and 21 years for boys. For boys, 21 years. This is because teenage mothers are not prepared mentally or physically for motherhood. So early marriage and motherhood cause health problems in the mother and the child. So it also curtails employment opportunities for the young woman and may cause mental agony as she is not ready for responsibilities of motherhood. So during the adolescence, becoming a mother, it is not allowed. And the legal age for marriage is 18 years for girls and 21 years for boys, because teenage mothers are not prepared mentally or physically for motherhood. So early marriage and motherhood cause health problems in the mother and the child. So it also creates problem in the employment opportunities for the young woman, and also may cause mental agony as she is not ready for responsibilities of motherhood. So for today, let's stop here. In the next video class, let's study a new chapter. For today, let's stop here. Bye.